You don't belong here. The words came out harsher than intended, but Linda didn't take them back. She stood in the doorway of the women's shelter, arms crossed, staring at the woman on the cot who looked like she'd walked out of a magazine, even in donated clothes. The woman didn't respond. She just kept folding a threadbare towel with the kind of precision that didn't belong in this place. Linda's jaw tightened. Something was very, very wrong. Linda had been volunteering at Maplewood Women's Shelter for 11 years. She knew the look, the hollow eyes, the trembling hands, the shame that sat heavy in every corner of the room. This woman had none of it. Her posture was too straight, her hands too steady. And when she'd signed in 3 nights ago, she'd written her name in perfect cursive. Evelyn, with no last name, no backstory, no explanation. Most women who came through those doors wanted to talk, or cry, or disappear into silence. Evelyn did none of those things. She simply existed. And that, Linda thought, was the most dangerous kind of lie. This is her value stories. For anyone who's ever looked at someone and known they were hiding something, but didn't know whether to pull them closer or push them away. If you're new here, take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Before we continue, tell me in the comments. Have you ever met someone who didn't seem to fit their circumstances? What did you do? Linda Myers was 53 years old, and she had earned every gray hair on her head. She'd raised 2 kids alone after her husband left her for a woman 10 years younger. She'd worked double shifts at the hospital, scraped together tuition, and survived on 3 hours of sleep and too much coffee. When the kids grew up and moved to opposite coasts, Linda found herself in a quiet house with too many rooms and too much silence. So she started volunteering. First, it was just something to do, a way to fill the hours between work and sleep. But over time, it became the thing that made her feel like herself again. She knew the rhythm of the shelter, the intake forms, the donation bins, the women who came in broken and left a little less so. She knew how to hold space without hovering, how to offer a meal without pity, how to see people. And that's why Evelyn bothered her. Because she couldn't see her at all. Evelyn sat on the edge of her cot, hands folded in her lap, staring at the wall like it held answers. She hadn't asked for anything, hadn't complained, hadn't even made eye contact with the other women. At meals, she ate in silence. At night, she slept without stirring. During the day, she read donated paperbacks with the same unreadable expression. The other volunteers thought she was traumatized. Linda thought she was performing. On the 4th morning, Linda brought her a cup of coffee. "You take it black?" Linda asked, setting it down on the small table beside the cot. Evelyn looked up surprised. "Yes, thank you." Her voice was smooth, educated, careful. "You're welcome." Linda didn't move. "You settling in okay?" "I am. Good." Linda paused. "You need anything? Toiletries? A warmer jacket?" "I'm fine." Linda nodded slowly. "Most people aren't." Evelyn's eyes flickered, just for a second, but she said nothing. Linda turned to leave, then stopped. "You know, if you ever want to talk, I'm around." "I appreciate that." But her tone said the opposite. It happened on a Tuesday. Linda was sorting donations in the back room when she heard raised voices in the hallway. She stepped out to find one of the residents, a young woman named Tasha, standing outside Evelyn's room, furious. "You think you're better than us?" Tasha spat. "Walking around here like you're doing us a favor." Evelyn stood in the doorway, calm but pale. "I never said that. You don't have to say it. I can see it." Linda stepped between them. "Tasha, take a walk." "She doesn't belong here, Linda. That's not for you to decide." Tasha glared at Evelyn one more time, then stormed off. Linda turned to Evelyn, whose hands were trembling now, just slightly. "You okay?" Evelyn nodded but didn't speak. "Want to tell me what that was about?" "She's right." Linda blinked. "About what?" Evelyn's voice was barely a whisper. "I don't belong here." Linda made tea. It was the thing she did when words weren't enough. She brought 2 mugs into the small common room and sat across from Evelyn, who looked like she might shatter. "You don't have to tell me anything," Linda said quietly. "But if you want to, I'm listening." Evelyn stared into her mug for a long time. Then she spoke. "My name is Evelyn Hartwell." Linda frowned. The name sounded familiar, but she couldn't place it. "I'm the daughter of Richard Hartwell." And then it clicked. Richard Hartwell. Real estate mogul. Philanthropist. Billionaire. Linda's mouth went dry. Yes. Then why?" "Because I walked away." Evelyn's voice cracked. "From all of it." She told the story in pieces. Controlling father. A life scripted down to the minute. Charity galas where she smiled and said nothing. Board meetings where her presence was decorative. A fiancé chosen for her. A wedding planned without her input. And one night 3 weeks ago, she'd packed a single bag and left. No note. No explanation. "I didn't know where else to go," Evelyn whispered. "I thought, maybe if I lived like this for a while, I'd figure out who I actually am." Linda sat back stunned. "You have billions of dollars. I have access to billions of dollars. There's a difference." "Evelyn, I know it sounds insane. I know I don't have the right to be here. But I didn't know where else I could be." Invisible. Linda didn't know what to say. Because part of her understood. And part of her was furious. Linda didn't tell anyone. She didn't know why. Maybe because Evelyn's secret felt fragile. Maybe because outing her would have caused chaos. Or maybe because, despite everything, Linda believed her. Over the next 2 weeks, something shifted. Evelyn started helping in the kitchen. She folded laundry. She read to one of the older residents who had failing eyesight. She wasn't performing anymore. She was learning. One evening, Linda found her scrubbing pots in the industrial sink. Sleeves rolled up, hair tied back. "You're getting the hang of this," Linda said. Evelyn smiled. "A real one. I've never washed a dish in my life before this." "How'd that work?" "Staff." Linda snorted. "Must have been nice." It was empty. The honesty in her voice made Linda pause. "You miss it." Evelyn thought about it. "I miss my mother. She died when I was 12. Everything after that was just motion." Linda leaned against the counter. "I get that." "Do you?" "Yeah." Linda's voice softened. "After my husband left, I spent 2 years just going through the motions. Work, kids, sleep. Repeat. I didn't even realize I'd stopped feeling things until I started volunteering here." Evelyn looked at her. "What changed?" "I remembered what it felt like to matter." They stood there in the quiet. 2 women from completely different worlds, understanding each other in a way that shouldn't have worked. But it did. It all fell apart on a Friday. Linda was at the front desk when a man in an expensive suit walked in, flanked by 2 others. "I'm looking for Evelyn Hartwell," he said. Linda's blood ran cold. "We don't have anyone by that name here." The man smiled thinly. "I think you do." Evelyn appeared in the hallway, face drained of color. "Jonathan." "Evelyn." He said her name like a reprimand. "Your father's been worried sick." "I'm fine." "You're living in a shelter. By choice." "That's not a choice. That's a breakdown." Linda stepped forward. "She's a guest here. You need to leave." Jonathan ignored her. "Evelyn, this has gone on long enough. You've made your point. Now come home." "No. Your father's willing to forgive this. But you need to come back. Now." "I said no." Jonathan's expression darkened. "You're embarrassing him. Embarrassing the family. Do you have any idea what the press will do if they find out?" Evelyn's voice shook. "I don't care. You should." He glanced around the shelter with barely concealed disgust. "Because if you stay here, your father will make sure every dollar of funding this place receives disappears." Linda's heart stopped. Evelyn went white. "You wouldn't." "He already has the paperwork ready." Evelyn left that night. She didn't say goodbye. Linda found a note on her cot the next morning. "Sorry. Thank you for seeing me. E. Linda crumpled the note in her fist. She wanted to be angry, wanted to call Evelyn a coward, wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all. But she couldn't, 'cause she understood. Evelyn had been given an impossible choice: her freedom or the shelter's survival. And she'd chosen the shelter. If this story reminds you of someone who sacrificed something precious to protect others, share it with them. They need to know their choice mattered. 3 weeks later, Linda received a call. It was from the shelter's director. "Linda, you need to sit down." "Why?" "We just received an anonymous donation. $5 million. Unrestricted funds." Linda's breath caught. "Who?" "We don't know. Came through a trust. But there was a note." "What did it say?" The director read it aloud. "For the women who taught me what freedom actually costs. Use it well." Linda sat in the empty common room that evening, staring at the cot where Evelyn used to sleep. She didn't know if Evelyn was happy. Didn't know if she'd ever be free. But she knew this: Evelyn had figured out who she was. And she'd chosen to matter. Thank you for spending this time with Her Value Stories. If this story moved you, like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. What part of this story stayed with you the most? Let me know in the comments.